You're a senior designer working on a new design system for your company. You recently listened to a great episode of Brave UX with Brendan Jarvis, where he interviewed Sheri Byrne-Haber, and you want to make sure that your design system is accessible as a result of listening to that episode. What do you need to consider to ensure that it will be?
So the important thing to understand with design system accessibility is there's only so far that you can take it. You can style the link, you can style the button, but in the end, you don't know how the user is going to implement it. There are, I want to say right now, maybe 20 accessible open source design systems. So they're accessible, they're public, they're free. Usually what I recommend is to look at some of those first. And I'll just rattle off a few names here, and if you need help finding them for your resources, let me know. Obviously, the first one is Clarity. That's the design system that VMware uses. We have, I believe, 4 million users outside of VMware as well. So we used to be very Angular specific, and now we have a framework agnostic version. So that's something. So Clarity from VMware, Carbon from IBM, Material from Google, Spectrum from Adobe, Lightning from Salesforce. Those are the first 5 that pop into my head. So look at how they've done it. Like, for example, Salesforce has done, anytime anybody wants to know how to do accessible drag and drop, I always tell them to go look at Lightning because they've done a bang up job on it. And VMware doesn't do a lot of drag and drop. So we haven't had a need to implement that in our own design system. We might get to it eventually, but we got a lot of stuff on our list right now. So yeah, there's look at how other people are doing it. Maybe even look at whether you can take one of those and then make it your own, right? You know, brand it and color it and do all the things that make it work for your internal purposes, but use the base accessible design system from somebody else. It is hard to make a design system accessible. It is not easy because you have to think about all the different things that can be done with the object, and then make sure that all of the what we call ARIA properties are exposed for that then the user of that design system can make use of so that the end product is accessible. But I can tell you one thing that I know for sure. If the design system is not accessible, there is no way in hell the end product is going to be accessible. So if you're a senior designer and you're having trouble convincing somebody to make your design system accessible, that's your number one argument.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And it's great to hear that so much of the heavy lifting has already been done. I mean, why invent the wheel on this if you don't need to?
Or just look at the way other people have done it, because some of these design systems, Clarity's, I want to say 6 years old at this point. So it's been through a lot of rounds of user feedback and learn from how it is that we did things. You know, in terms of open source, most people who've released stuff in the open source are always willing to answer questions if you file tickets on GitHub. So if you want to say, well, why did you do blah, 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 you know, you may get back an entire novel on how, well, we looked at this, we looked at that, we, you know, these two things were in conflict, but we knew that, you know, WCAG was going to do X, Y, and Z down the road, so we went with this decision here. You know, you don't get that experience on your first attempt to make a design system accessible on your own.
Yeah, definitely make use of the community, people. It's really important.